What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Beck Easy.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl, Johan.
Hey, guys. It's Trell and this.
Why did I just do a deep sigh like, here she go again?
What? That's my name, and that's how you pronounce it.
All right. Welcome to this episode 63. This is part 2 of our Black men mental health discussion. We got a lot of great feedback last episode, so we said we're going to do a part 2. Mm-hmm. So we have some wonderful gentlemen here. If you could introduce yourself, starting with Mr. Washington.
Slay Washington, MC, event host, school counselor.
Perfect.
Earl Bloodworth, 40B, director for the City of Bridgeport Reentry Program, co-chair for the Greater New Haven Reentry Roundtable Council.
Damn.
I'm Prince Latif Belcher of the Rhythm and Brews podcast, also photographer and other things.
Yay!
Welcome,
Thank you guys for coming.
We're going to have to talk about that.
We got some professionals here today. So thank you guys for coming. We are so excited about this episode. Last episode just was like a breath of fresh air to talk about mental health, especially in Black men and everything that's going on in the world. So we appreciate you guys for coming.
Yes.
Joe, you have a drop that line for us to get us started.
I do have a drop that line.
Oh,
Here we go.
Okay. Fuck you, squares. The circle got smaller, the castle got bigger, the walls got taller, and truth be told, after all that said, niggas still got love for you.
Okay, first of all,
That was mad fast.
You actually...
whose bars was those?
I'm trying to think
about
of-
waffles?
I'm trying to think, yo.
She actually performed this song.
Sounded
'Cause
almost-
usually she
I
don't...
would say Meek Mill, but I'm not sure what song.
The reason why, because the rhythm is so in my head, it just flew.
Could
Flow.
Usually don't be no rhythm. And I'm like, huh?
I heard it.
Yeah, let me hear that.
Fuck you, squares. The circle got smaller, the castle got bigger, the walls got taller, and truth be told, after all that said, niggas still got love for you. Now.
Nah,
I don't
B.
know.
Damn,
I
y'all
feel
stumped
like
too?
because Versus just was passed, it might be, not Rick Ross or
Like, at first I thought it was J. Cole, but nah.
because she always have like a thought process with her.
It is a part of the thought process.
Oh, you know what? It
What
had
else
to
has
be
been going on?
Maybe it came from
Black is
Watch the
King?
Throne because it was 9 years. The other day was 9 years that they dropped
Okay.
Oh,
So they
okay.
gonna
What
be
song
together.
is you out?
That's Jay-Z?
So Jay-Z.
Oh, wow.
Fuck you, squares.
That's all I can
The
tell you.
circle got smaller, the castle got bigger, the walls got taller, and truth be told, after all that said, niggas still got love for you.
She souped. That's
Wait,
how we
what
should
song
have
is the
known.
song though?
Why do I love you?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I
That's
don't-
one of the ones I skip.
Right, exactly. You could have went with literally any other song on the album, and I'd have been like, I got
Don't
that.
get me wrong, the project was very solid, but like in these days, I'd be like,
Right. You do the top 3 or top 4 of the album now.
Right.
Otis.
So yeah, I
right.
Yeah.
Niggas in Paris.
Right.
Oh, Frank Ocean not singing on this one?
Yo,
funny.
that's
I figured it was something.
Well, that's
so shout out to
the
them.
first flop for this year.
Right. We've been doing
not
good
bad.
all season.
Not
but yeah,
bad.
so shout out to them.
you
And-
got half a point because you got
Right. And because I know I'm like, oh, it's the thoughtfulness about it. So I didn't know who the hell it was, but
That
I
came
knew
out
it had
9
to be
years
something.
ago?
9 years ago.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, we
Where's
getting
time
old.
It's getting old.
Okay.
That went by
I
fast.
figured you would have just on the purple tape. That was 25.
Oh yeah, the Raekwon joint. Yeah,
Only
word.
Biggie
Yo, he had
Smalls.
everybody come on his live though.
Lit. So, as our icebreaker, kind of intertwining with, the drop that line, we would like to know, what is your ideal versus battle? Dead or alive? Anybody dead or alive? I know just
Ooh,
recently
Dead
we
or
had
Alive.
2 Chainz and Rick Ross.
Which
I
still
didn't
haven't
watch
watched.
it. I seen a
didn't
few
watch it
clips
either.
of it, but I seen Rick Ross with the man boobs and his.
I watched
chubby.
it
So,
because
shout out to the big niggas.
Rick
Ross
Ross
the
is
boss.
That's
low key my favorite rapper. Very low key my favorite rapper.
It is.
And Ross has an incredible category.
Yes.
He does.
Catalog, and no one knows.
Yeah.
I mean, 2
He been
Chainz.
out he almost 20 years
right,
in.
right.
2 Chainz held his own,
Yeah.
but when Ross played his hits,
Yeah,
it just
you
hit
couldn't.
different.
Yeah,
Like it was like for the way I was watching it,
I was loving both songs, but
Right.
it was like when Ross was dropping, it was so
got
many.
so much swag with
It was
it,
like
yo.
it was like every song he dropped, it was like, where were you when this dropped?
Right.
Right.
It's
Or
different.
like Aston Martin music. There's not many people there's not many
Yo.
rappers in around that
He's
can
damn
that can,
hustling. Yo.
Yeah,
Like,
BMF, like Born Money
Yo,
Fast.
yo.
You came out the
Big
gate
Meech.
with that. I'm like, Ross, you gotta
Larry
relax.
Hoover, yeah. Rashad's
2
voice.
Chainz, 2 Chainz asked him. He was like, "Hey, why you bullying us, bro?" Like just asking. He was like, "I'm just chilling." He was like,
You
"No,
know.
you
Oh, did
bullying
he,
us."
did he do Duffel Bag Boy?
Yes, he had to.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
one of
he
his
won. No,
hits.
listen, he won that round. He won
Yeah.
that duffel bag.
That's a
round. He
hit.
won that one.
I saw 2 Chainz had an interview with.
He sounded salty.
Oh, on Breakfast Club, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
he was. He was
sounded-
like,
sounded
I know
salty.
his songs and da 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 da, but 20 hits, I got 20 hits. 30 hits, I could stay in the game. 40.
That's
40?
questionable.
He was like, everybody talking about his catalog and da da da, but I got some stuff too.
You can't,
It
It
wasn't
wasn't
about.
salty.
He
It
did.
wasn't about.
Yeah.
It wasn't about if he had hits. We know he has 20 hits.
Right.
It's
But
about
are they classic?
are they gonna win in rounds?
yeah.
That's what it's
Right.
about. It's about winning rounds.
Absolutely.
And I didn't think that was a good matchup anyway.
Right.
And I
think so either.
honestly,
Who would have been a good matchup?
T.I. and
T.I.
Ross.
T.I.
Ross?
Ross.
Yeah.
Or T.I. and 2
I still want
Chainz.
T.I. and Jeezy.
Jeezy and Ross. But
I
I'm
want
saying
T.I. and
those
Oh, yes.
3 you could categorize them together. They're on their own level.
Jeezy and Ross is good.
Chainz is a boss, but he's not
Right.
on that
So
level.
No.
T.I. and 50, not good match.
No.
Well, the thing is, I think 50 ain't fit. First of all, it's not going to be on Instagram no more.
No.
50
Right.
going to put it on Stars.
Right.
We're going to have to do. I'm dead ass.
It's different
Yo,
levels.
we're gonna have to do pay-per-view
Right.
for it. Like he gonna get his coin
Right.
about that.
Facts.
Like for real.
Right.
So
Wow.
I would say if she was alive, Whitney Houston.
Versus
I don't know. I don't have.
It would have to be Mariah.
I
They would
have,
would
I
have
have
to
a
be
person.
Mariah.
I have
Why
a
not
no.
Janet?
I have a person for her because I had a person for
They
the
got-
person I'm about to
Janet
say,
got
but I
hits,
didn't have
but
an
she's not.
opponent. So I would say Whitney and Celine Dion.
Really?
How did I know you was gonna say that?
But the thing is,
Because
All right.
she's love.
I might get canceled for this, but I've
Caribbean.
said this many times before. I don't want white people nowhere near versus.
No, I know,
agree
but they're
that.
thinking
I
about
agree.
JT coming for Usher.
And
Nah,
I still
they
feel the
can't.
same way.
That's why Usher hasn't done one because there's really nobody that can really
no.
go with
people
Usher.
talk about
Chris Brown.
You can't.
No,
But
Chris
with
won't
Chris,
do it.
with Chris, it's sales. That's why people
Right.
be on
Right.
Chris. Like, but it's not.
So who Drake
It's,
going against?
it's not moved.
Himself.
Yeah, you can't. even somebody
Rapper Drake
even
versus
somebody like Diddy, because when you get to the point where you're like a producer or a record
Yeah.
label, you can pull
You
like
can
for
pull
example,
stuff
Diddy,
that you
Right.
Diddy can play a total song and
Right.
nobody can
Right.
get mad at that.
Right.
You can't.
That's
Right.
true. That's
like
yeah,
Right.
That's true. Very true. Just like when Teddy Riley was just
pulling.
ripping, and if Michael Jackson was here, we know that him and Whitney would never do it if they were still here. But those
Those two?
two,
They can go against each
they
other.
could go against each other. Honestly,
that's what I'm saying.
I would like
That'd be a
to
good
see.
one.
I would have liked to see Michael and Prince.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was going to
I don't
say.
think
yo,
Prince
that
would be
would
around
have been
either,
dope
though.
because
He's sassy, yo.
because Michael loves everybody, and then
Oh,
Prince
no,
would be
stop
throwing
it.
all the shade.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, facts.
Like Babyface.
Yeah, he would.
Like
I think
Babyface.
I think Michael throw more shade than Prince. I don't think Prince care.
Michael throws shade, but he throws it a lot more
low-key.
subtly
Prince is
than
very
Prince
shady.
does.
Like
bro.
Babyface.
No.
Right.
God bless the dead. Prince was very shady.
Yo, it was so ill. I saw
His facial
something
expression.
drop on I don't know if it was IG or YouTube, but it was a James Brown show,
Okay.
and he pulled
Mike and Prince on stage?
He pulled
Yeah.
Mike and Prince on the stage with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was dope. yo.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
It's
that's
Oh,
on
when
YouTube.
he put the cape on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
seen that.
Michael throws. He's selective with his shit.
Nah,
Even
Michael
look,
throw
he-
mad
Michael's
shade.
subtle.
when he was recording Rule the World, whatever, with all them white people.
Oh, yeah.
Like that look on his
Oh, no,
face.
We are the world.
Yeah, that,
I knew what you
talk
meant.
about Lauren and
I knew what you
Nas.
meant.
He just was looking like these motherfuckers wildin'.
I'm glad I came here today.
No.
Both. I needed this. Yo.
Yeah.
I
The last
was-
couple of days been salty.
I would love to see Mariah Carey because that's a queen of shade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Against
that's
who? The Brat?
Shut up. Shut up.
Just to bring up the old beef, we could go Mariah versus Nicki.
Oh yeah,
Just to see them
yeah,
go back
but
and forth at each
that's true. But Mariah, I never see Mariah hate a person so much.
right.
I never
Other
seen
than
her.
Eminem.
Yeah.
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 Oh, Mariah hated Eminem.
Well, apparently
They-
they
they
had a whole
It
thing.
was bad.
They had like a song beef.
They were not, but they used to smash.
Yeah,
That's what the
yeah.
Brad was talking about the other day.
Oh, that's none of
Telling
my
her
business.
best friend business.
yeah. Oh,
I see it. That's none of my
That's
business.
messy.
Yo, like,
And of course, everybody says Brandy and Monica. Which
Monica don't want to
Monica
do
doesn't
it.
have enough hits for that.
Momo don't want to do it.
I would love to see that though.
I would love to
Okay,
see
so
it, but
we
Monica
going
don't have
mad
enough hits
What
for
about
it.
like lower tier? Like what about
What's a lower
It's
tier?
not gonna. It's not gonna pull
what
in the
about,
ratings.
Like, nah,
Keisha Cole and
like was it Little Mo or was it?
she don't got
No.
enough.
Huh?
She called
Mo
out
got
a
like 3-4
What
smash
about
hits,
with the Fab?
and that's it.
That's
That's what I'm
it.
saying.
That's
Three, 4 smash hits, and then she gotta go.
No,
You know what I
Keisha
brought
Cole
up?
called out Ashanti.
Yeah,
but I don't.
and
know.
That,
be
that
dope.
actually
That would
they
be
made
dope.
it official,
That's
but they
how-
didn't schedule it yet.
Yo,
Oh,
Ashanti
okay.
like she aging backwards.
Yeah.
Because
she
part
looked
of
like
the
she in high school.
part of the complication with that is like what they're bringing people together now instead of doing it
right. Instead
Yeah.
of doing it
right.
virtually.
So they have to
New
schedule
York
it
and
to get
Atlanta.
people-
Yeah.
That's
Which
one of the
I
reasons
people in the
respect
same place
because
at
the
the same
sound
time.
quality is way
Way better.
better.
Way better.
That's one of the reasons
better.
they chose
And the energy,
they
I think,
chose
is
2
better.
Chainz for Rick Ross
Because they both
Rick-
in Atlanta.
Well, no, because Rick Ross, 2 Chainz was somebody Rick Ross didn't really have beef with.
That's
Right.
true.
Right. That's true.
That's true. Because Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't too many people that
Right.
can link up
That was
with.
one of the reasons because they said they wanted positivity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And-
because it's really about celebrating each other, which is
Right.
Right, it's
why
not really
Culture,
like a
for the
battle.
culture.
Chris Brown don't need to be anywhere near it because he's just talking shit on Instagram. Like, can't nobody go against me? And I'm saying,
mean-
The realest actual battle I say was Beanie and Bounty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they've been
that was
they've been really
classic.
battling since the 90s.
Right.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I saw
So,
And
and even there, you could tell it was still love.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what's up? I heard like Drake and Mavado was having smoke.
Drake
Yeah.
and Mavado.
Yeah.
on Instagram Live, yeah.
Of Drake.
Mavado, you have to release like
You gotta
music
release.
before you
Nah,
can
he
beef with
got
somebody,
mad
bro.
music. I mean,
No. Since when? Ever since he signed with Khaled, I feel like he only puts out music when he's on Khaled's projects now.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
that's all Khaled's
ain't
artists.
been releasing
Yeah,
no dance
I know
songs?
that.
That's all. That's why
He ain't
Ace Hood
releasing
don't
no
want to be
dance
with
song
him no more.
individually?
Oh, Ace Hood is gone.
Yeah.
He ain't releasing no dance
No,
song individually.
yo, when the last time you heard somebody talk about Mavado?
Except for
Vibes
Watch.
still popping from jail. He just did a
true.
I was thinking it, I
He
ain't
just
watch
did a WAP remix. Kimi sent it to me
That's-
this morning in the
Excuse me,
DM.
what?
He did a WAP remix from jail, bro.
Worship and praise.
Wow.
That's what
Hallelujah.
that's what
Hallelujah.
Earl said. Worship
Praise
and
him.
praise.
Praise the Lord.
But yeah, I mean, I love the verses.
I do too, especially that one because Ross is my guy.
Right.
Apparently, we know
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
You can tell,
Low
right?
key though, low key.
305.
Low key though.
305.
He's like in your top 5.
No.
no?
Oh.
Word?
No. But
Lyrically, no? Oh, wow.
He shouldn't be, but but so I'm with you.
That's why she's making it sound low key.
As far as beat selection
That's
goes,
why
he's
it's
top
low
5.
key.
That's why
he's
it's
low on the
Nobody
list.
really
See,
knows.
there's best. You should have 2 lists.
Right.
There's best, and then there's favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for
okay.
example,
He's like a
for
fade.
example, Young Dro and Currency are on my favorites.
Okay.
but they're nowhere near
Yeah,
the best.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha,
Like-
gotcha.
Like Ross is the most consistent rapper, like in the last 10 since you said 20 years.
He's almost
Ross is
He
consistent.
came out like 04, 05.
right.
Damn.
Yeah, the only person who can see him is probably Drake, as far as consistency.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're
Right.
gonna forget about Jay, right?
Bro,
That's automatic.
Jay's
That's
on a different
That's not,
conversation.
bro, that's not consistent though. When's the
Jay's
last time
also a
Jay
different
released? When's the last time Jay released?
444 or
And
no.
what year was that?
No,
That was
everything,
2 years ago.
everything love, everything.
Bro, but that's not that's not consistency. You can't
Yeah.
tell me that that's consistency.
It's classics though, but it's very.
I put
choppy
it like
when
this.
come
I put it
out.
like this. Jay owns his own label, right? You can't tell me that if Jay was like on Def Jam or Atlantic that
That's true.
that the executives love Jay. Oh, we just love his work ethic. No, absolutely
Right,
not.
right,
It's all
right.
about
That's
pumping
true.
these
But
records out.
he's done the work to put himself in a position where he can release when he wants to.
Sure, but what I'm
That's true.
saying is it's still not consistent. I'm
Right.
not saying
Call him a
Jay
consistent
can't do that, but you
Right.
can't say like Jay's the most consistent.
Oh no.
But
Nah.
you realize though how it works though is like he drop an album, then Beyonce drops an album, then he drops an album, then Beyonce drops an album.
So we got one coming.
We got one coming.
Because
like, what are you
of-
talking
Look
about?
at
It's his turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Okay, I see it. She dropped.
You got called Guru.
She
Guru knows.
Guru knows. Guru holds all the music.
Yeah.
She dropped 2, so he's like behind 2.
Yeah, you got to do a double
Yeah.
album.
Yeah.
He used to have a tell, but now that's out the
Because
bag.
the hair. Now
Exactly.
it's
He used to stop.
You know what?
He used to stop cutting his hair.
You know what? Let me not say that because that joint that he did with Jay Electronica could
Oh,
be.
forgot.
forgot that existed.
I think they be switching.
How did we
I think they be on
forget?
some like. I think they be on some like when I'm in album mode, she's at the crib with the kids,
Right.
and then vice versa.
That
you know
make
what I'm
perfect
saying?
sense.
I forgot.
Danny's
Yo,
talking about that shit.
I forgot about that project. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I forgot that even
Jay
happened.
was the hottest thing on that project.
Right. He
Right.
was the project.
Yeah,
He was the
He
project,
out-rapped
like-
Electronica.
Oh my-
very
Like when he
badly.
dropped Dear Summer on a Mid Bleak joint.
Right.
That's
He had to do
also,
that. though.
sometimes listening to Electronica, I don't feel like I'm like
It's his
smart enough,
right.
To like no for real. Like it's just like, bro,
No, you
are-
gotta stop and research that last
Yeah.
bar.
No, that-
Oh, okay, he's nice. Okay.
That whole album was like next level.
Yes.
True genius like
I
level.
feel like I gotta sit. I feel like I gotta sit with Farrakhan now.
Yeah.
And just like
you gotta have your Quran sitting right there when you listen to Jay
Yes.
Electronica.
Yes.
okay,
Yo,
okay,
you
wallahi,
his,
all
his
right.
shit is ill when you see like his lyrics on Jeopardy and shit for questions and shit.
Right. That's ridiculous.
I forgot about that project.
It always, once in a while, they always have a topic where
A
it's
hip hop,
And all
yeah.
the white people fell.
They do. They do.
That's always fun.
I be
And
soup
don't
when I
get a
get.
and don't get a daily double.
I be soup when I get one answer on Jeopardy.
Right.
Right.
Good for at least 12.
So that was good
Ooh.
conversation.
Loved
nice
it.
little icebreaker.
Yeah.
So we are gonna drop a question for you guys to ponder on before we exit the stage, so you guys can have a man talk.
Oh,
So the
You
question,
understand?
huh?
You understand?
No. We're gonna let y'all run this.
oh man.
The question is,
Yeah, this don't feel like home at all.
what would you tell your younger self? And if you had an age where you can go back and restart, what age would that be?
Oh damn.
Shit.
So think about that. We're gonna step away and we're gonna let y'all handle it.
Have fun,
Shout out to
guys.
Lateef. He's gonna be our facilitator today.
All right. So the question that was posed to us once again was, if you can go back in time and talk to yourself, what would you say? And what age would you start over? Let's start off with you, Slay.
If I would go back in time, I would tell my younger self that just go for it. So, many people know that I'm an MC, event host or whatever you want to call it. And I would just say to myself, just go for it, because I feel like around the, I'll be 32 next month, but around the age of about 26, I really felt myself like plateauing, like as far as in Connecticut. So it was just like I was known and respected by all promoters in like all cities. I was doing like the biggest concerts, whether they be at Toads, whether they be at what's the joint, Webster Bank,
Okay.
even what's the joint in Wallingford, Oakdale.
Oakdale, yeah.
Oakdale and all of that kind of stuff. So that happened about 26. So I got to that plateau and I was like, yo, there's really nothing else I could do in Connecticut that's going to solidify me as like a dope host. Like I felt like, like this was the level. Like
Okay.
I'm the guy right now. You know what I mean? And that's not to sound like to boast about it or whatever, but it's just like when you got it,
Facts.
you can feel it.
Right.
You know when the time is the time. So I would go back to 26, so about 6 years ago. I would tell my 26-year-old self that the time that I would go back to is 24, because that's when I felt like I was on that incline getting to 26 and getting there. And that was just a really, really fun time that I was having. So I would definitely go right back to 24. That would be great.
Okay.
Oh, wow. It's tough. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not super tough. So there are two periods I would go back to talk to myself. I think the first period I'd go back to myself is right before graduating college. When my son would probably be about 2 years old at that time frame, and I had a lot of different people who saw a lot of potential in me doing some things, but I didn't see that potential necessarily in myself. I was just focused like, I got this kid, and his mom, and what am I gonna do with all of this? And so I had some options that I just didn't take, and I would go back and tell myself, old girl hooked you up with the master's program at the University of Miami, Ohio. You should go handle that, and I didn't. So that would be one thing I would talk to myself to go do, because it's really at that point in time I had enough support back here in the Elm to hold my family down for me to go do what I needed to do if I wanted to do that. Secondarily, I would go back and talk to probably like my 6 or 7 year old self to tell him to start preparing for his parents to split up and how that's going to work and what he would need to do then. Because shortly after they split up, when I was 10, then 3 years later, my pops passed. So I would definitely tell my younger self to take more time and understanding to get to know his father.
Okay. It's a more difficult question for me to answer as far as the age part, because the nerd in me starts to think about the butterfly effect. So it's like, all right, if I go back to a certain age, then I'm really fucking everything else up.
Got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Man.
Right. But what I would go back and tell myself, I would tell my younger self to actually go to therapy, because I waited till way too late in life to do so. And I really messed up a lot of things for myself because I didn't handle things the way that it should have been handled throughout life, through most of my life. Didn't deal with grief well, didn't know how to communicate in relationships, so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's what I would do.
And you think therapy would have helped you with all of that?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. Because I didn't actually go to therapy until I'm about to be 36 next week. So I didn't go till I was 32. And it's actually helped me a lot now, even dealing with like just learning how to cope with certain situations. Even like I still get high anxiety just in certain areas. And I know now how to like bring myself back down. You know what I mean? And effectively communicate with certain things, because that is incredibly important.
I don't disagree. I'm 45. I started therapy at 42, and actually need to find a new therapist. I kind of left my therapist hanging. Mm-hmm. Like we were 2 years in, and he was like, "Wow, this is the most we talked in Outbreak," and then I was like, "I'm out."
You know too much.
Right. And he like just was under that first layer of the onion, like not even the onion itself, just like that nasty skin you peel off the onion, not the onion itself. So, but it's like I was like, I'm out. I can't do this.
I actually stopped going.
Yeah,
because
me
my
too.
therapist was a white woman.
Oh no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, listen, like certain things I would say, she'd be like, "Oh my God, you go through that?" And like after dealing with that for so long, I was like, I can't continue to talk to you. Like it's helped, but I need to talk to a black woman.
First of all, as soon as somebody would have asked me like, "Oh my God, you go through that?" It's just like, how long have you?
How long have you been doing right? No, I'm with you.
Like, am I your first client? Like, nobody ever went through no traumatic junk before me. Like you're really shocked at this. See,
right.
that would have let me know that I got to be out.
Well, that was the first appointment.
Wow,
and I still kept going.
Really? Nah, I talked
But that's
to.
cool. You needed somebody to talk to, though. You know.
I talked to my primary care physician when I thought about this a lot. I was like, yo, I need to go see a therapist. So I'm like in the funk. I don't want to say I'm depressed, but like I don't know what's going on. Shit's not working out right now. In fact, at that period of time though, a lot of shit was working out in my life, but I just didn't feel 100. And so I talked to my primary, and he's like, yeah, here's some names. It's like, okay. I went to go see like these two people, and one was Jewish and another one was something else. And like I sat in that office and I was like, nah, this is not gonna work, B. So I did my own research and found a black male therapist, and it was cool. At the same time, it's like I'm still gonna tell my homies more than I ever tell you, because I don't trust it. I don't know.
All right, I want to ask a follow-up question about that then, because you just brought that up. And I was, going back to the last episode, not every black man can talk to their homies. Mm-hmm. So how was that for you then? Like,
I mean, I could say that one or two of my homies know probably about 90% of my life, and vice versa. I mean,
that's a blessing.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there will still be some things like, we might not share fully, but we know we could if we needed to. But, you still get stuck in your male pride and your ego, and it's like, I can't really share this or whatever. But, I mean, my day ones, it's like, yeah, This is probably one of the reasons I would never run for an office because I would have to pay them off. Like,
They know where the bodies is.
yo, all of them, the ones with the flesh still on them. Like,
What about you, Slay?
For me, it's my friend groups are weird, because it's like no, seriously, it's because it's like I got probably my closest people are the people that I went to high school with. And you know what I'm saying? They know who they are. But I'm also close with a few people in this Connecticut entertainment industry as well. And then there are other people that but yeah, those are basically my two friend groups. But like they're so different. You got one friend group that is always outside and in the streets, and then my other friend group, we go out and stuff like that. But they're definitely not as in the mix as me or the other people there. So it's just like, and then you break it down, there are certain people that you can talk to about certain things. And some people that will actually give you a nugget of information, like, I bet, like, okay, I could get with that. And then there are other people that'll just be like, that might hit you with the, yeah, man, that's crazy. Yo, I hope you're able to get up out of that, though. You know what I mean? And it's just like, all right, bro, like, I just wasted my time.
Exactly. Exactly.
For real.
Because one of my friend groups like you was the boys I went to high school with. Mm-hmm. And I learned quickly that I can't talk to them because when when I'm going through something and I try to talk to them and just be like, man, you be all right, take this drink. Or
okay. So my friend group, because I'm 45 now, they used to be like that. We've had a little bit more life experience, so it's not as much, you'll be all right, or
that stuff started happening to them. That's why. That's why like, now it's just like, damn, I can't front. That happened to me like, 2 years ago.
I get some sage advice, and I can give some sage advice.
Right.
And then, at times, it could be just like, yo, fuck that shit. Yo.
Mm-hmm. But the flip side of that, though, is because, you have, a head start on me. I'm, a bit younger than you. So it's like sometimes your homeboys can enable negative behavior. You know what I mean? They'll be like, instead of giving you advice on how to talk to like a woman that you're with, they'll be like, man, fuck that bitch. Like, could be. Here's this chick over here. She wants to cheat on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times your homeboys will enable your shit.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And well, you feel it.
No, because it's just been times where it'd be like, yo, fuck that bitch. Be like, yo, I did care a great deal about her at a particular time.
No,
you know
right.
It's not fuck that bitch, but like come between somewhere between get back with her and fuck that bitch. If you can find her in the middle somewhere there, then you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I will say this. On matters of relationships like that, I'm not one to give a huge amount of advice. I would always say go to counseling or something like that. Just because shit can turn around and then be like, oh yeah, he said this shit about you. Or even females coming in like, she's like, relationships is messy. So like they could be down now and they talking shit about their significant other or whatever the process may be with that person. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing you know, they like inseparable. They Siamese twins again. I was like, that's too messy for me.
Word.
Like, go Google that counselor. I know a couple, like, it may not work out with the counseling session, but I don't know. I just feel funny about that because sometimes that shit just comes back and you're like, oh, you still with her? Right. Or you still with him? Like, didn't you say this? Like,
but didn't you just tell me last
week?
Yeah,
you said all that just to get back.
Yeah, like, I'm like,
like I've had people, like women come and confide to me about stuff that they're going through with their boyfriends or whatever. I'm like, you know what to do. If you're not happy, then just leave. Then they're like, I said yes. It's like, oh, so the ring just made all that go away.
Right?
Yes.
Rings don't make shit go away.
The ring just made all that. Okay, cool.
Babies don't make shit go away. Houses don't make shit go away. Like bank accounts don't make shit go away.
No, none of that. And it's just like, so you just ignored everything that you just said to me just because he put a ring on your finger? Okay, if that's what you want.
I'm sorry, where's that signature line for Mizzy? Oh, right there?
Yikes.
But one of the clips that was actually brought up to us early this week was the young man talking about, make sure, you go see somebody before you start a family. getting into relationships, so on and so forth. Let's start with the relationship first. How important do you think mental health is in a relationship?
Super.
I feel like it's paramount.
Yeah.
Like paramount. Like it's just like if you don't know what your hangups are, what your own red flags are, what your
Trauma.
is, what your little quirkiness or idiosyncrasies are. Like for example, like
your
just
triggers.
just little stuff like I'm sorry, after we cook, it can't be no dishes in the sink. Like I'm not necessarily like that, but there are people out there that are like that. But if you don't
And they
know,
always
like,
marry the opposite person.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But it's like if you don't know that about yourself, then you can't get into it get into a relationship with somebody else because now you're harboring what you have, and now you have to bring in that person's stuff too. So I just think it's very, very important that you're sane up here. Like you just got to be good up here.
Nah, that's a lot, yo. Like you don't know what trauma or baggage that person has, and if y'all don't have that conversation or are not able, like you said before, to communicate, you find yourselves 15, 20, 30 years in, and you just still finding out some crazy shit about the person. Like,
son, you was married before, like stuff like that, like simple stuff, like you put a kid up for adoption, like why you ain't say, you know what I mean, like stuff,
like
stuff.
You know, it's. And I mean, it could be simple stuff like, oh, you know, I like to clean up as I cook. Like, oh, word, that's you? Okay,
cool.
That's not me,
right?
But
it is very productive though when I do that.
No, it is.
I'm too busy cooking, yo.
But you also I'm also the type of person I'll leave the laundry sitting there for about a week before I start to fold it. Like,
I just did that the other day.
Absolutely.
Like that bothers some people, not me, but
oh
you
yeah.
know.
So I'll share this. So in my family where I grew up, if you're in the bathroom, you're in the bathroom. Nobody comes in the bathroom. It's your bathroom time. If you could be in there for 5 hours, nobody cares. You be in there. My significant other, on the other hand, that's like open time. I'm like, no, it's not. And it used to bug the fuck out of me. Like, why are you in here, B? Like,
not the B.
No, for real. Like, I don't understand. Right? And so then we ended up going to see her family because she's West Indian. And when I tell you, it was enlightening. And now we like 10, almost 12, 15 years in. And I never knew this, but go to stay at her aunt's house. And I'm walking like...
No, this at that time. You know what I'm saying?
No, like...
I thought you didn't know how long. He talking about at that time.
Yeah, well, at that time. Like, no, but... We at the aunt house and I'm walking and her aunt is like basically butt naked in the bathroom. She's like, hey boy, come here. I'm like,
no.
Nah.
Right.
I'm good. Like
peeing with the door open.
Siblings in the bathroom together. Like, I don't want but that's the culture. And I never really recognized that. But it used to really like bug the fuck out of me. Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Don't come here
she
and talk about the
said,
smell.
Hey boy, come here.
It's the bathroom. Like, what are
Yeah.
you? Just saying.
Number 2 is a deal breaker, though. You could probably come in there any other time.
Negative.
But number 2, I'm like, yo, why do you even want to be in here?
Yo, for real.
I'm really blowing it up. Like,
I got a captive audience. What?
Or when they call you in the bathroom while they're doing it.
No,
It's like, why?
Why?
I can hear you. I can hear you through the door.
You know you got that phone in there. Just text me. Yeah, you know you got the phone in there.
I know you posting stuff. Like
I don't want to hear you struggling while you know.
Yeah, right. You pinching that loaf, I'm good money, yo.
That loaf, yo, what?
I don't know if I'm that in love with you yet. I don't know if we're here yet.
I don't care if I am that in love with you.
That's not even on the love list. You know? There's a list somewhere, and that's not on there.
That's not non-negotiable. It's non-touchable.
Yeah.
At what point, though, in the relationship or even in the dating phase, do you address certain things like trauma and things of that nature? Like for me, that's a first date question.
Like, what are you asking, bro?
Like one of the things that can happen in a conversation during the first date is like, what have you done to deal with your past traumas?
Okay, I thought you were gonna say something else. I was like, oh, that was a wild question, but no, that's
I say about I say about like a month or two, because it's just like I understand why somebody would do that in the first date, because it's just like if they say something crazy, then it's like, okay, no time wasted. You know what I mean? It's just like, cool, we had some good eats and then we out. You know what I mean? But it's just like, for me, I don't want to dive into that. It did like I don't even know your favorite color, and I know that, I don't know, like
I know that your dad raped you when you were 13, but I don't even know that you like blue.
I know that you used to slash tires back in the day. Like,
so were you molested? I'm like,
no, it's more so of like, what, like,
funny, but it's funny.
I get what you're saying, but it's also a matter of have you even recognized it?
Yeah.
And have you done anything about it?
Yeah,
it's
because
I love the question.
Because it's like, if you have not done anything about it, we don't even need to be dating. You need to be worrying about yourself.
No, facts.
You know, because a lot of people, and I can even speak for myself, I've done this for most of my 20s, dating to get away with dealing with my own shit.
Ooh.
Like, or expecting whoever I'm dating to heal me in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I
fill
did
you
this
up with
for most of
happiness and all the empty spots.
because I'm filling a void, but really the void is within me, and only I can fill.
Correct.
It. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why it's an important thing to deal with right away. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, sometimes people just don't need to be dating yet, and it's good to get that out the way quick.
But like you just said for yourself, some people use that as a means to mask, and that's how they medicate basically, and deal with the trauma, you know. And then in some cases they end up falling head over heels, and the person falls head over heels, and then next thing you know, y'all in it together, and then you start seeing stuff like, oh, wait a minute,
and
I ignored all these flags.
You got to be very, very wary of a person that's always in a relationship. Well, I mean, if they're in the same relationship, that's cool. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Not all the time.
Like, for
serial
example,
monogamous.
somebody that had like
monogamous,
6 boyfriends, girlfriends in 10 years, like it's like, hey, yo, you know what I mean? Like,
I used to be that dude.
What's really going on? But I get it.
Right.
And as a woman, I would have been very wary of you. You know what I'm saying? You know, like, you know, it is what it is.
I can't really picture you as a woman slave, but
I think I would be a very ugly woman. I produce too much hair, you know what I'm saying? Too much hair and stuff like that.
Oh wow. Folks dealing with trauma. I mean, now it's kind of becoming the end thing to deal with your trauma and you know, hashtag therapy, hashtag heal yourself and whatnot. But still, you got a lot of people out there that's.
I just started laughing because he laughed. I'm sorry.
It is something though. Like, I mean, you know, the hashtag thing, it's cool. And it's only cool because I know like people are always trying to like make something the next trend or whatever. Yeah. But you know, some people might have only gone to therapy because it was trendy to do or whatever. Like, for example, the whole health wave is because it's trendy to do. But guess what? I think it's not a bad trend. Yeah. Like, for example, like 5 years ago, it wasn't this many people going to the gym and being vegan and worried about gluten and all of that kind of stuff. But guess what? It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad bandwagon to jump on.
I think that whole gluten thing is a conspiracy. That's just me.
Yeah.
C-O-N-spiracy.
I can be with you on that one, but like you were saying though, the whole mental health thing is not a bad trend to jump on. Mm-hmm. Everybody, never mind. I'm not gonna
spit it
because it's like everybody jumping on the whole life coach bandwagon though is a bit weird to me because it's like
being a life coach.
Yeah, trying to be a life coach and tell other people what to do with their lives.
Meanwhile, your life is in shambles.
Exactly my point. It's like you're telling people what to do, but your shit ain't together. Right. You know what I mean? And you don't have to be all together to tell people what to do, but I've had conversations with you enough to know that you shouldn't be telling people what to do. You know what I mean? But
man, that's something else you gotta. I mean, it's a lot. You really gotta vet the people that you are going to be being that open with and being vulnerable with. I've heard instances where people started going to therapy and like the therapist becomes their best friend, and that's not kosher either.
Not at all.
You need somebody that's, you know, objective. And then, I mean, just not for nothing, as black folk, we got tons of undealt with trauma for a bunch of different things. Like, you know, folks sitting up at the Thanksgiving table with so-and-so knowing that he molested so-and-so, like, or she, whatever. Like, it's a lot. Just being black in America is a lot, yeah.
It is.
Not to mention just like the regular stuff that you do, that you might have did, whether it's abandonment issues or whatever it is, like that's compounded by being black.
I saw a post like just little stuff or like Instagram is so dope and so crazy at the same time.
For real.
Like it was like being black is Googling a restaurant to see what side of town it's on.
Or
you know what I
see if
mean?
it's in a racist part of
Yeah,
town.
you know what I'm saying? Like just little stuff like that we don't even realize that we do. Like, oh, that's over there. Yeah, I'm straight. We might do the takeout.
Yeah.
You know, something. Yeah.
Uber Eats.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I didn't realize I did that until I saw the meme because I'm like, damn, I really do.
Yeah, like, yo, where is this anyway? It's in New Haven? I never been over here. You know? So
Yeah.
one of them.
I mean, just getting back to what you said earlier about your first experience with your therapist, and it's like, oh, really? You go through that? Like, yo, that's my everyday
Right.
fucking life,
This is-
yo. Like, we got to
this is
make
black.
mad different decisions just based on the color of our skin. Like,
So I have a question.
Yes.
How do those different things or those different scenarios that you don't even know consciously that you do, how does that affect your mental health? Or do you think it's just so common that you don't even think twice about it?
It's subconscious.
Yeah, it's subconscious. I don't think we think about it. It's like breathing, but
I think
can
it's
tell-
detrimental though.
Yeah, it's
I think it's
detrimental and
detrimental.
deleterious to our health. Like it's stressful. That's one of the reasons why we have high blood pressure and a lot of other things, health wise. Because the shit that we go through on a daily basis is stressful. You sitting in the meeting, you're talking, you give this brilliant idea, and nobody hears it. And then Karen says it, and then everybody's like, "Oh my god,
Right,
that's
100%.
amazing!" Like I just said the same shit 5 minutes ago.
That happens to one of my coworkers actually quite frequently. Like quite frequently, it happens to him. He's a black man, and he'll tell us like, "Yo, I probably pitched that idea like 6 months ago, and
Right.
then you know somebody else pitched it or something like very very similar, and then like they'll go crazy about it or whatever." So it's crazy.
Absolutely.
But even in like also everyday life, just driving down the street and you pass a police officer, so you're driving and checking your rear view to see if they do a U-turn. Like it's simple, subtle stuff like that.
Yeah,
And yeah, it is anxiety inducing. But it just becomes part of being black, part of life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
right.
And you got, then you got the folks that's like, oh, you're just being too sensitive. You're just being too sensitive. That stuff doesn't happen. It's not real. I'm like, motherfucker, what?
Who says that? I've
White
never
people.
heard anybody say
White
that.
people.
I've never. Yeah, they got to get away from me. I rebuke them.
He said rebuke.
Yeah, for
In the
real.
name of the Lord, worship and praise.
I've never heard nobody say that. That's really happening. Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, what other everyday things have affected, your mental health or, just how you deal with things?
The whole Black Lives Matter, people getting killed in the street situation, like it. I haven't consistently watched the news in over 10 years, and I grew up watching like the Today Show. You know what I'm saying, like Matt Lauer, Katie Couric, Al Roker, and stuff like that. Like I grew up watching the Today Show every day, and like probably
like Brian
is
Gumble.
I mean, Brian Gumble was there very early. But you gotta realize my age, bro.
Yeah,
He was
that's
only
what
there like a year or two, and he was out of there.
And then he was on the HBO.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
at HBO.
but like it was around the time I got it like to college that I just kind of stopped watching the news, and people are like, "You got to know what's going on," and I'm like, "Trust and believe, I know what's going on. I might not know what to the extent like." For example, Brexit, whatever was going on with Brexit, I had no idea what was going on. And I just remember that because that was just something that was recent in like the past year or two or whatever. But it's just like, I don't want to watch it in the morning because it's very depressing, and then that will frame the rest of my day.
Exactly.
And I don't want to watch it coming back from work because now I'm trying to chill.
Right.
So it's just, but then, seeing social media and seeing my people still getting killed in the street, that still affects me like every day. So it's just like, sometimes like I'll try to avoid those posts. I mean, you can't avoid the posts, but like sometimes I'll just try to avoid even looking at that kind of stuff, man, because it's just like, how many more times? How many more people?
I think social media magnifies that a lot. Like I'm on IG, but I took a break from Facebook for almost 2 years. I just signed back on Facebook just because of the stuff that I'm trying to accomplish. I need to know what's going on. And if I'm not on Facebook, I really won't, in order to connect with the networks that I need to connect with to help people that are coming back from prison, or just to help in my community in general. If you're not linked in on some type of platform, you're missing out, unfortunately. But that stuff can be so toxic at the same time, or just overwhelming. If it's not seeing somebody gunned down or hearing about some horrible story of somebody's experience, you're seeing some Karen or Kevin meltdown or something like that. So, or this dude in the White House wilding.
Personally, I've learned to ignore it and just keep scrolling. Or like one of my favorite things on Twitter is just to be able to mute something. Put in a keyword and it no longer even pops up in your feed. But when it comes to Instagram and Facebook, though, I just keep scrolling, because a lot of it is, it feels like trauma porn. It's not. The way I feel about it, with the videos of our people being slain and so on and so forth, it's like the townspeople showing up to watch somebody get lynched. That's how I look at it. So it's like I'll watch it the first time just to be like, yeah, this could have been avoided or whatever. But after that, like when it continues to cycle in the news, I ignore it from that point, because it's like it is in a sense breaking us down, because the whole psychology of it is to make you feel like you're less than, or to just make you want to go out and react so they have a reason, to attack or whatever. It's just, I
think it's just like kind of getting back to the other thing about the everyday stuff. And you've seen the memes about Black Lives Matter, and it's like, just to matter. Like, it's just an insane proposition. Like, we really had to explain to you, like, my house is on fire. Your house is not on fire.
Why are we watering your house?
Yeah, we don't need to water the fire department does not need to come to your house. Our house is on fucking fire.
Right.
And it's just like from just that proposition to, like, I recall this end of year celebration that my wife had to do her medical school shit. And they went through this like memorial of all these people that passed during that year. And it was like no black people. They were like, Teddy Pendergrass just passed. Yo, they was like, Teddy who? Like, it's like we don't even fucking count. Like, unless it's entertainment, and even in that case, it don't count. Love the culture, but don't love us. It's so, and we fight these battles all the time just to matter. And that shit weighs so heavily. Like, the fact that Watchmen came out and people saw a recreation of the Tulsa massacre, and people were like, oh my God, that's so crazy. I couldn't believe something like that would happen. That's real history. It's real life. That shit really happened.
Or they'd be like, oh my God, this show is so racist. Why would they put that in the first episode? Like, no, it actually happened.
Like, Black they used to lynch people and make postcards out of that shit.
Yeah.
Or take black people's skin and make shoes.
Yeah, facts.
Like, this shit is our history. Like, Emmett Till only happened like 50 years ago. It wasn't like that was that long ago.
Yeah.
Did y'all see the side by side picture of it was a half and half picture face. It was Emmett Till and Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy because they looked like alike. Like almost like some type of second coming reincarnation.
Yeah.
And I kind of believe in stuff like that. So I just don't know. I don't know.
Oh, so here's a question since you brought that up. So I'm a little bit farther along in the tooth than y'all, but like, where does religion play a role for y'all, or does it? Because I know like a lot of the young generation is like, religion is like, take it or leave it. I mean, I've even evolved. I won't necessarily have this conversation with my mama, but I've evolved. It's like, I mean, there's some things like spiritually I believe in, but the whole Bible as the word of God as opposed to being written by man and being some type of guidelines or books, sort of. And some of those stories are really representations of stories that were told 3,000 years before, but whatever.
Sorry.
No, Here's what I know. As far as the Bible is concerned, there are a lot of craziness and discrepancies, and
For real,
it's
for
a
real.
whole lot. Like people don't know. Like the Bible is scandalous. Like
real.
the stories that's going on in there.
Solomon.
Yeah, like the stories that's going on in the Bible and stuff like that. But I'm not too sure about the word of God or the word of Jesus or the word of any man. But I do know that I'll be praying for stuff and it happens.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily.
Someone say
take
that's the laws of attraction in the universe.
I don't know though. I don't know. But I'm saying you got to blame it on something. I just choose to blame it on God.
And I'm
Maybe
saying
it
that's
is
not
the
to say I
laws
don't
of
have a church
attraction.
that I go to.
I just got a name.
I got a church family, but it's
But
like,
every culture has a different name for that. Some people call it manifesting. Some people call it the law of attraction. Some people call it praying for it. It's just, it's cultural. It's cultural.
it's definitely culture. But what is our culture though, B? Because we got separated from it for 400 years ago. We took on somebody else's culture
All right. So
and we spit their language like it's our own, which is not.
I agree. And
We weren't
one of
allowed to, though.
the best things about your question is first you also have to understand the difference between religion and spirituality. Because there's a big difference between the two. Because religion is kind of like groupthink in a sense, almost cult-like.
But
Whereas
it helps a lot of people with their
spirituality-
mental health.
You're right.
For those that believe in
But, right, because that's what helped my father.
and my mama.
And yeah, it helped a lot of our, ancestors, so to speak. But spirituality is more so, your personal relationship with God or Allah or the universe or whoever.
Yahweh.
Yeah,
Jehovah.
exactly. So religion, to answer your question, has done nothing for me. Spirituality has done everything. You know what I mean? So that's how I would answer the question.
Okay.
Follow up to that though would be, what has your emotional upbringing been like?
Ha. Wow. Wow. No cut cards, huh, homie? My emotional upbringing. I love my mama to death, yo. So, mama, if you ever hear this, it's no knock on you. It's just the way it is.
The preface.
Yeah, I just look, and my son will tell you because he's like, know better, do better. But old school is like, look, you got food, you got a roof over your head, you got clothes on your back. That's my love language. And that was my mother's love language. So like when I walked through the door and my mother's like, your father passed. I'm 13 years old. My mother's not the one that hugged me. My godmother hugs me and embraces me in her arms. And it's no knock on my mother. Because my mother is now, she's got to handle all of this shit. Now I can see it at this age. She has to handle the funeral. She has to handle the shit with my father's family because they want him to be buried in Jersey, but they're actually technically still married, although they've been separated for whatever.
Right.
Like it's a lot of shit. My mother's not gonna be the one that's gonna break down in front of anybody. That's the mother that I grew up with. And that's the representation that I have around emotions. Like me and my mother might hug now, but growing up, there wasn't a lot of hugging going on. But again, that does not mean that she didn't love me. Did it help in my emotional growth and in my emotional intelligence? Probably not.
Okay. Your turn.
I think it was great. I think I was always able to explain how I felt. I think I was always able to be heard. My parents split when I was 6. However, it was just like a lot of people still had no idea that they were split up, especially when it came to dealings around me. Like, for example, any school event, any sporting event and things like that, they would come to the games and they would sit with each other. Unless they were probably dating somebody at the time, then they would probably kind of be a little bit far apart. But you know what I mean? They were there because of me or what was important. And, my parents have even told me to this day, like, they'll speak, but 95% of the time it's about me. and about like, you know, so whatever I'm struggling with at the time, or like, for example, I just moved, so you know, I know they were probably talking about like, you know, oh, you got this, and you know, I'm probably gonna buy him some plates, and you know, what you gonna do, or what, you know, I'm just stuff like that. But it's always been around me, and I think that it was really, really important for me to see that as a kid. So to know, first of all, what marriage is and what love is, you know, from 0 to 6, and then also after 6, what true co-parenting is, and what is, you know, the trump card is loving the child above all. So, you know, it's just like, even though we know that we might not be able to coexist together, and that's the crazy thing, they still got along, they just knew they couldn't coexist. You understand what I'm saying? So just knowing that they couldn't really coexist together in that nature, but still like, listen, we still have a child, it's still very important, whatever he's doing, we need to be behind him 100%. So I feel like just emotionally as a child, I knew that my parents were always there for me.
Okay. As a follow-up question to that, then, how has, I don't know if you have any children, but how has your emotional upbringing affected the way that you raise your children?
So I kind of prefaced it before, is like, it's very old school, and I know both, I think, maybe not you, but Slay mentioned that, you know, he was very heard and, you know, enveloped and loved, or enveloped, depending on your pronunciation, whatever. So do I feel like we loved our son dearly? Yes. But were we tough as hell? Absolutely. Just in regards to this world that we were bringing a young black man into, and ourselves being first generation college students and not really having any guidance around that. You know, we tried to make sure he had a definite blueprint. Like our son had, you know, he had a job on the campus because we both went there and graduated from that university before he even got on the campus. Our whole focus was around making sure that he was successful and independent. And again, it was, you know, you got a roof over your head, you got clothes on your back. And so, like, when he would go through these different stages, and he's like, oh, you know, so-and-so family could do whatever. And I'm like, well, go live with so-and-so. If this doesn't work for you here, you have no love lost. You absolutely have the option to bail. Hit the eject button. And, you know, that's just how we kind of carried it. That, like I say, for instance, whereas when our son graduated college, I was of the mind that, you know, you come, you know, get yourself together here for 3 to 6 months and figure shit out. And she was of the mind, he could be here for 2 to 5 years. I'm like, what? Negative. You know, I evolved on that situation, but, you know, at the same time, he's a completely different person now.
Right.
He's 22, 23 years old. And, okay, you are older, and I get it, but this is still our house. And you're here at the largesse of us. So, like,
that's a word.
Like, love you. My thoughts are, my original thoughts, 3 to 6 months, you go out in the real world, get your head banged in a little bit. If you need to come back, we're always here for you. As opposed to this, and I guess, you know, from my understanding of what people try to sell me, I was like, you know, white people help their kids, and, you know, they let them live there and stack up cash, and then they da-da-da-da. I'm like, But I didn't experience that. I lived in my mother's attic for 3 months after college with my infant son and my future wife for 3 months. And then I was out in the world trying to figure shit out.
Okay. Slick?
I do not have any children. My girlfriend does have a child. And I'm not gonna hold you. I don't know what I'm doing, man. But it's just like I try my best to be friendly and amicable, and really try my best to, you know, whatever values that I have, that I believe that being a good father or just being a good male figure in her life is, and I just try to apply that, and I try to pour that on her. You understand what I'm saying? So, but like I said, I don't know what I'm doing, man. But it just.
So you definitely not letting her listen to worship and praise music.
Nah, she can't. She can't listen to maybe the Shirley Caesar, but not the Megan Cardi version. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's just like I'm really just trying to figure it out though. But but she's great. We get along great.
That's dope, man.
All right. What kind of questions do you have with your girlfriend about that type of situation? Like,
you're just gonna dig all in my business.
No, I mean, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But
all right, what's the question again? Go ahead.
What kind of conversations do you have about, I guess in a sense, kind of being the step parent?
Oh, I just always ask, like, am I doing enough? What are the boundaries here? Am I crossing the boundaries?
Right.
Especially as far as like chastising or like, she's doing something that a kid shouldn't be doing. Is it okay if I say, you stop doing that, as long as I say it like this? How am I supposed to be saying this? And stuff like that. But just making sure, like, in that situation, she's clearly the captain.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's just like, if you're Batman, making sure that I'm Robin and I know exactly how it is and how I'm supposed to react to what's going on. Like, how do you want me to handle this?
Mm-hmm.
So that those are the questions that I have, and I think we worked through it.
Okay. Because I just got out of a similar situation.
Okay.
Fresh out of a relationship, and her 13-year-old son lived with us. And when we did move in, together, like his father and I got along like right away as soon as we met with each other, and he was just happy. He was like, finally a man in the house, because he was like, my son runs her over. He was like, so finally you're going to be somebody in the house that's going to be that disciplinarian. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm not his father.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was my thought process at first, because I'm like, you're his dad, not me. But then now I learned that I'm like, they looking at me to be that disciplinarian because she won't step up. And
how did that work between y'all two though?
It's part of why we're not together. Because I
Like, ultimately at the same time but didn't want it.
Right. Because one day I just just not going into detail, but one day I just woke up and I just like, I couldn't have a child with this woman. I wouldn't trust this woman to be the mother of my
your
child.
Own biological.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the way that she spoils and enables him, and the fact that she's more so the best friend instead of the parent.
Oh, wow.
So anything that happens is, I'm going to tell your father, or expecting me to do something about it. I'm just like, come on, you're his mom.
Yeah. No, I get that.
What I mean? So,
because then if you have your own kid, it would almost be like, you have your way that you think is proper to raise. So now it's like you're almost on reprogramming mode,
right,
with her. 100%. So it's just like, you did it this way with this kid, but this is the new kid coming through, and it's not going to go this way. And it's hard to reprogram people.
Right.
I mean, I don't think people should be reprogrammed, but it's still hard.
And that's what it is. It's
I
not
love
about
my mama to death, but I know that my mama and me, we're not friends.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the issues that probably my son and I have. Like, yes, you're older and I love you, but at the end of the day, you're my son.
Right. I'm
your father. I'm your parent. And we could be cool. Like, me and my son, we vibe on a bunch of stuff. Anime, comic books, all types of shit. Movies. But
there's
everything.
A line.
There's a line, though.
Yeah.
There's just a line. I don't think that chasm of gulf could ever be filled.
So would you say, because you do, in a sense, you recreate the way that you were raised emotionally with your son?
To a great degree.
So would you say that
was it right?
No. Okay. So have you done anything to stop perpetuating generational curses within your family?
I would say, and again, it's probably going to sound harsh as fuck, but I said to him, I love you to death. You can always come talk to me. I will always do whatever I can to help you out. But again, you've gone through life with a ton of different experiences that most people will never have that look like us. And you've been put in situations to be uber successful. We've given you a bunch of tools. Did we give you every single tool that you probably needed? No, because again, there's a lot of shit that we didn't know that we know now. Like, if I had a kid now, things would be done a lot differently. But one of the reasons why I wouldn't have a kid now is because I don't necessarily have that surrounding family unit, like my mother right here and my grandmothers and all that, because he was raised with all that additional family support. So my point is, I would say, and I have said to him, I did my job. You're 18, 19, 20, whatever. You're relatively well put together. We hear nothing but good reports about you out in the community, in the neighborhood. If you do have issues, I don't have a time machine. I'm not going back to change shit, find a therapist and deal with it. I'm not owning any of that. If you got something that was wrong that you feel was wrong in your child, go fix it. Because I can't fix that shit.
Okay. So, just a quick parting question. Do you want to have your own child with?
Absolutely.
So what would you do to mentally and emotionally prepare for that?
I believe that's something that I think about every day. And that is something that I won't be able to answer today because I'm still like, what if we have a kid? What if I do have a kid? With it's not like it's just one of them like bro, like I'm in it right now, so I don't even have an answer.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes you're too close in it to be able to think about it. I can't. So do you currently go to therapy or anything like that?
I went to therapy about 3-4 times. It was at the end of I was getting my master's at Southern, so it was like the last month. And it was a lot of stuff going on. I have ADHD. It was stuff going on. I wasn't taking medication at the time, so it was me thinking about getting back on medication. I was going through a breakup at the time, and then just the anxiety of graduating school and not necessarily knowing what to do. Am I going to get a job? Is this really, did I really just spend the last 3 years, and is it going to be worth it? Do I really want to be a school counselor and all of that kind of stuff? So I knew something was off about everything that was going on, and I just needed somebody to speak to. So, luckily the campus was able to give me about 4 sessions for free.
EAP.
Right.
Yeah. So, matter of fact, I said one time I just did counseling, another time because with the coronavirus and everything going on, I didn't want to work from home, and it was really, really hard. So I just did like 3 EAP counseling sessions, and then those 4 in 2018 and everything like that. So I am not, against or opposed to going to counseling at all. But for me, it's just like I have to feel like something is going on first, because most of the time I'm straight.
All right. I guess that's all the questions I have for now. Thanks for talking to me, to us. Thanks for the team for having us here.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the conversation. Y'all funny as hell, by the way.
Very good convo. That's all I was gonna say.
And before we leave, Joe does have a positive vibe for us.
Oh, Johan? Heard you.
Yes, Johan. I was back here listening to your conversation, and I had a positive vibe, but then you guys threw me off. But I just want to say that sometimes we plan our life and it doesn't go as planned. So don't fret over you not going down the road that you thought, because, the universe or God shifts, where you need to be. And eventually you will get to exactly where you need to be. So my positive vibe basically is like, don't trip if you're not going down the path that you thought you saw yourself going down.
Amen. That was good, Joe.
Don't trip.
She looked like she was doing church announcements.
Into the sick and shut in.
Brother Deacon, get the collection plate running that side.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow, rate, subscribe, do all that stuff. Once again, let the listeners know where they can find you guys if they, connected with you and want to touch base. How will they be able to do that?
I'm on Facebook right now. Catch me, Earl Bloodworth. Hit me up. I may or may not answer. And at some point, I'm looking to start this podcast up. So I'm putting it out there in the universe. So, yeah.
It's lit.
That's what's up.
I can be found at the R&B Podcast on Twitter or Instagram. Also on Instagram is Latif, LETIF.B.photo.
Primary would be at Slay Washington on Instagram and Avery Slay Washington on Facebook.
Sounds good. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Toodles.